Hello and welcome back to DXB today, where we are taking a look at the groundbreaking innovations that are making our cities even more livable. So how is Dubai shaping the cities of tomorrow? Well, let's ask our next guest. This is Julie Parekh from CSO Al-Futtaim Group. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So can you give us a little bit of insight into what Al-Futtaim is doing in terms of urban innovation?
Sure, happy to do this. So Al-Futtaim is a group. We operate around 5 verticals. We're very active in the automotive and mobility space. We're also a real estate developer. We are equally a retail franchisee, as well as healthcare and financial services. So really the domains in which we operate are very broad, and that gives us a unique chance to lead system change across all of those industries. So I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer. This is a journey we started after COP28, and it's really about transforming the way the systems operate. So you said city, a city is a system. We are, for example, known for Dubai Festival City. That is a mini city in the city. And so how can really sustainability and technology transform the way we live, we shop, we dine, we move, because we touch all of those different interactions in the customer journey.
Fantastic.
I wanted to ask you, since sustainability is a huge thing and sustainable mobility is also a big thing and a big talk that we've been talking about recently, what is Al-Futtaim doing into making it more sustainable and greener for people to commute and go around as well?
Yeah, very good question. The first thing I did when I came on board was to say, well, what exactly does the person in Dubai mean when they say sustainability? I think there is a lot of talk about sustainability in general, but I was very curious to understand the UAE consumer. It's many nationalities, it's very different age groups, etc. And so we've just conducted what I think is breakthrough research to really understand specifically in the UAE what the consumer wants. The first insight I thought was surprising was that 90% of our consumers say that they valued sustainability. Honestly, this is higher than I even expected. Of course, it's nice for me. Then the next question was, okay, but do you buy sustainable products? That number was 80%, which is also very high. The next question was around the age groups that are most interested. Oftentimes you hear, oh, Gen Z is very interested. Well, the data says all the age groups are interested, but they're all interested by different categories. So for example, and again, because our portfolio touches many different categories, groceries is something that everybody is keen to buy, so food. But then fashion, the younger generation is a lot more interested. And then home products, well, that's a little bit more the older population. So you really need to go at a quite granular level of, which of my consumers are more interested and what does it mean. The other thing that was quite interesting in the research we conducted just this year was the top nationalities that care the most about sustainability, again, and the patchwork of nationalities that we have in Dubai. The number 1 was Indians, number 2 was Filipinos, number 3 was Pakistani, and as we all know, it does represent a very big part of the population here. So it's fantastic to see that there is a strong appetite for sustainable products, and people really value it in their daily lives.
So what do you do with that data to really drive change in food systems and air quality? What does that look like?
That's the holy grail question, right? So thanks for asking. And look, again, I think we are in a privileged position just being able to touch the consumer across the full journey, right? So I'll give a few examples, and I would not say, it's done and tested, right? This is really about building something together and building something with the ecosystem around us in Dubai. But you were asking on mobility specifically. As you all know, Al-Futtaim has been a player in the automotive space for 90 years, right? We started the partnership with Toyota, this is 70 years ago, in the very early days of the country, actually, right? So mobility has been at the heart of our business for all of the existence of the group. But of course, it's evolved. We launched BYD, and a year and a half since launch, we've already sold 7,000 cars. We have 6 showrooms now in the UAE, and we're opening 3 more by the end of the year. Just 2 weeks ago, we launched the Shark 6, which is the first super hybrid pickup. So we're very excited about that. I encourage everybody to go test it.
I've seen it all over social media.
It's quite impressive.
Yes.
So really, I think it's, to answer your question, it's changing the portfolio as the needs of the consumers indicate, right? On the urban side and the urban development side, we've been also trying, it's a different journey because you build the future, or the city of the future. You need to plan it now, but it will have to be the city of the future for the next 10, 20, 30 years,
Yes.
right? So it's a very different decision journey. And so we're doing in-depth research on the specific things that consumers value in their living environments. I would say the country's gone quite rapidly, quite far, right? We've leapfrogged many other parts of the world on a few topics. I think waste management now in any community, this is a bit of a, obviously you have this, right? This is not going to be breakthrough anymore. So a lot of the good practices are now embedded in hygiene level of your development. But then the question is what comes next? Like, can we leverage more data, for example? Everybody talks about AI, but I think there is definitely an opportunity. And also, how do we bring, again, I used the word ecosystem and systems change before, no individual developer can fix the future of a city on its own, right?
Yeah.
So we're really seeing that the nexus of the mobility players, of which we are, and real estate development community, of which we are as well, need to come together with the authorities, with the country leadership, with the right think tanks to really create a new vision for the future. I think we all have in mind the very ambitious growth that Dubai has set. Dubai 2033 strategy says doubling population and doubling GDP.
Yeah.
2033 is 8 years from now, right?
Yeah.
So I think getting there will not be done by one person, right? It takes
True.
a village to raise a child. And so I think we're on that journey to raise that child.
Yeah. Definitely.
Julie, my question to you is oftentimes when we hear about smart cities, we think in terms of technology, but how can we use this innovation to improve the quality of life of the people?
Yeah, I mean, it's spot on. I don't like the word smart city to start with, so sorry. I think, smart city made sense a couple years back when technology was less advanced. And we were talking sensors and, the lights will switch off when I walk out of the building. That, for me, this is a bit where it started. And fantastic. I'm an engineer by training, right? But I think today we've got much more powerful technology, but also it really goes both ways, right? So in the past, technology was more supporting, information towards the consumer, but now consumers are themselves generating data and, changing. So we talked about mobility before, right? We want to be shaping, the integrated solution through which we are mobile. So maybe this is now a mix of a private car, but also public transport, but also micro-mobility, maybe bike. And so what's that integrated solution? And now the consumer is themselves prosumer, right? Like generating this data. So we really need an integrated solution.
So what do you think the future of our roads look like in 10, 20 years in Dubai? Does it look like that?
Yeah, it's nice you asked the question. We convened 2 weeks ago a roundtable, and the white paper will be published, maybe a week from now. So please watch this space. But we convened a roundtable which had the private sector, the public sector, a pan-Arab point of view on the future of cities. And one of the questions the moderator asked was, take a post-it, write on a paper what the breakthrough vision for 20 years from now would look like. And it was a very nice exercise because it really forced us to crystallize what that vision could be. Now we need to deliver on it, of course. But they were fantastic breakthrough ideas or visions, right? They were this idea of a fully integrated mobility system where public transport is not just available and affordable, which is a nice aspiration, but also sought after and something people really are proud to say. They've been on it and they take it and it's part of their journey, which, let's be honest, it's not the case. And I'm from Paris, it's not the case anymore in my city, right? So there's really work to be done to integrate all of the mobility solutions. Another wild idea was bringing wildlife into the city. I think very few of us know that actually wildlife is extremely present in the UAE. It's one of the biggest population of migratory birds, right?
Yeah,
there is
birding destination
definitely.
is the UAE.
Yeah, and the World
Fun
Congress
fact.
on Conservation is happening just now, right?
Yeah.
So I think we have to dream that future, and then we have to jointly create it.
Exactly.
I think
definitely.
The future isn't only being dreamed though, because I think when you stitch together all the visions, but when you actually look at what is being implemented, driven by RTA, driven by the private sector, driven by the government and future growth centres, the vision, I think, that will actually be a reality in Dubai will be green, will be pedestrian, will be affordable housing, will be lighter use of roads only. And so I think we've got something to be very optimistic about.
Definitely. This is something that we should look forward to. Well, Ellora, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode.